Welcome back. Now, how prepared are you to survive a catastrophe or a natural disaster? Has it even crossed your mind that such a thing could happen? Well, my next guests not only think about it, but they spend a lot of their weekends practicing the art of survival. To tell us why we should be taking them seriously, please welcome Tony McHugh and Frank Deegan. Tony, how you doing? All right. You see, the camouflage doesn't work here, does it? You would have had to wear a kind of a, what colour is that? A velvet suit there to fit in here.
That might be a bush here or something like that, hide behind it. Getting all nervous.
How's it going?
Well, not too bad at all.
Yeah. So listen, Frank, will you explain to us what the Irish Survivalists Association is?
The Irish Survivalist Group. We're a group of self-taught, like-minded people, various ages and various backgrounds that like to bring the old traditions of both cooking and survival back again, say, from eating and foraging food out in the wild to be able to supplement your own food if something natural happened, or unnatural happened, as in, just say, for example, a hurricane or Katrina or something like that that kind of catastrophe.
So in terms of, like, I mean, obviously it's a social thing and a fun thing to do, but ultimately this would be something that would come into play if something happened whereby the services broke down and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's become a hobby now for us, and at the same time, if it ever was required that our skills would come into effect, we have backup plans on backup plans, and we practice and we enjoy practicing, and we have a great social weekend every 6 weeks or so in Ireland, regardless of the weather. We were out on the weekend of the storms and in their Christmas, we were out swimming in hammocks.
Really, yeah. Well, I suppose like the storms would be nothing to you anyway, would they? Like
3 days.
Yeah. And Tony, what kind of thing could happen here in Ireland? Like, would you envisage that could require?
Well, simply anything is like an inch of snow, as you know yourself, Brendan, on the ground, and the country comes to a standstill.
Yeah.
People can't get to the stores, and you know, just have you enough food in the house. If your power goes off, how are you going to heat the house? Have you got light in the house? Have you an alternative way of cooking? I.e., have you gas cooker or have you other fuel cookers in the house?
Okay.
Just generally to take care of yourself.
So you would have all that kind of backup and everything.
Yeah.
You see, I suppose people think of survivalists, and we tend to think of kind of preppers in America. We think of guys up in like compounds with lots of guns and all that kind of thing. It's not quite that extreme what you're at.
No, we're normal.
Yeah, okay, yeah. That was what I was driving at, but I didn't know the polite way to ask
it. In America, the word prepper is, as you say, they have their stockpile of guns and they have rooms full of food. We don't have any of that at all.
Do you have guns?
Well, I do personally, yeah, and we have licensed guns, but
okay.
No.
Do you have a gun, Tony?
I don't, but I was a licensed gun holder. But quite a few of the members do have guns. They hunt. And,
okay, so it wouldn't be for like protection in terms of
pure hunting.
No.
Our last time we were out, we had so much food we actually went home with it, and it was for 15 people. So we had pheasants and we had hares, and we ran over a hare on the way there, so we ate it. Roadkill.
Really?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, right. Tasted like chicken.
Yeah.
They say that about everything, don't they?
Yeah.
And come here. So would you have a stockpile of food now, Tony?
I do prepare. I do prep like my mum in her day, Lord of Mercer. In the old days, you'd have the pantry under the stairs.
Yeah.
You know, where you'd put an extra bit every week in case of a bad week. And I mean, the way the country is going now, bad weeks are coming more and more often.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? People have central heating now. They can't afford the gas, and they can't afford to fill the tank with oil. So, you know, just kind of prepare for the bad week or the bad 2 weeks.
Okay, so you're not actually storing up like non-perishables in preparation for...
non-perishable foods are grand because they have a long shelf life, and they're always there. But
and
just
then some people,
bits.
don't they have bug outs where they would actually, holes in the ground where they would keep stuff as well in the event of an emergency?
In America, they have bug out locations because they have tornadoes and hurricanes, and their houses get blown away every other day. We don't have that here, so we don't require bug out.
Okay.
But we have in our group, we have meeting areas if something really happened, some huge catastrophe happened. We do have areas where we know we can meet up and our communication. So say your mobile network went down.
Yeah.
We're bringing back our CB radios. We're using shortwave radios again, and that's interesting because you can talk away all day and nobody's listening to you.
Okay. So tell me, if something was to happen, do you have like an image in your head of would things tend to disintegrate quite quickly if all the services went down and everybody's left their own devices all of a sudden?
Back to the Katrina scenario in New Orleans, where in a matter of 3 days, complete chaos happened, anarchy. People didn't know what to do. They run around like headless chickens. Their water supplies had become contaminated with salt water, so they couldn't drink water. You remember this is only a few years ago, so people were there for 2 or 3 weeks before the government could come and help them out. And it's human nature to protect and to want to protect your family and feed your family.
Plus no food in the stores to go to, you know, when something like that happens.
So that kind of veneer, we all think like this is a very civilized society and we're all, you know, we're all acting. That kind of veneer goes very quickly, does it?
Well,
if people are under pressure?
civilized, something goes wrong.
Our animal instincts will kick back in again
really?
and protect.
People want to take care of their own.
Yeah.
And so what are ye about? Are ye about like ganging together to protect yourselves, or?
We have various professions in our group with us. We've doctors, we have a few guards, we have a few security, we have engineers, we have medical guys, we have a lot of medical people, and we all pull our skills if required. And when we go and meet out in the camp every 6 weeks or so, we'll all have we'll sit around a big campfire, have a great yak around the fire and go through various scenarios. But we take it lighthearted, but at the end of the day, we do have in the back of our minds the knowledge that we are ready if something happens. And God helps us if something does happen, because most of the people in the civilized community does not.
I have to say, I'm not ready remotely.
If your fridge goes off, your frozen stuff is gone after 3 days, and what are you going to do if you can't get to the shop, or the shop is shut down as well?
Should have a bug out's place.
So like, you know, the way I would kind of think, and you're a bit eccentric maybe doing this, but you probably think we're all mad for not being ready for this.
I don't judge anybody, and I just trying to say it myself. Back in the day, our ancestors didn't have fridges and they didn't have electricity, so how did they survive? That's all we're doing, is just bringing these methods back again. Our last camp, we cooked 4 pizzas on a fire in an oven. 4 pizzas in the middle of the sticks.
Right.
How bad was that?
Now, speaking of fires, you're going to demonstrate one of the skills.
Yeah, what we use is a fire rod or a fair seam rod, and the reason we use them is because if you have a lighter, you get wet, they don't work.
Okay.
Zippos require petrol, we don't need that either. And all we need is a rod, and what I have here is my goddaughter Samantha picked that from me, and it came out of a bird's box, and she thought it was a meat box, or a bird, a meat bird. And we didn't know what she was on. It was chirp chirp she meant to say, not meat. And she's only in primary school, so I mean, very funny at the time. So
that's a bird's nest, roughly.
That's a bird's nest, and there's a lot of moss and dog hairs in this.
Okay. And you would set that on fire. Just show us there how you would.
So what I have here is a fire steel. It's man-made, and it burns at about 3,000 degrees. And what I have here is a bushcraft knife that we use. So I'm just going to powder up here. And also, because Ireland is inherently damp, what we do is we call feathering. We cut the skin into the stick and feather. So inside here is all dry, bone dry. Excellent tinder. Okay. So when we want to get the fire going, we get this. We'll give it a go here now.
Wow! So, look at that, one go.
So this guy on top, and we're off. So for the benefits of this, it's smelling like dog hair at the moment. So.
Yeah, there's no smell of burning hair, right? Right. That'll be a toxic cloud that will go off
came
over
out
Dublin now
of
to
in the trees.
Right. Tell us Tony, what other kind of skills do you practice out there?
Well, again, lighting fires, setting traps, archery, fishing.
Making traps.
Ways of making shelter, natural shelter, because you're not always going to be able to have your tarp or your tent, you know, out there. Okay. So making natural shelter on that, you know, get out of the weather, bad weather, get the heat going.
Right. In terms of traps, what would you be trapping?
There's a few methods that we've done. I've done a figure 4 there. Christmas, St. Stephen's Day, we were kind of bored at home. There's nothing on the telly, you know. Yourself wasn't on, so we were bored.
Yeah,
so, so we made what's called a figure 4 trap. It's just 3 bits of timber and balanced and a very fine trigger. So you put a bit of food on the edge of it and a big heavy weight on top. As soon as it's touched, it'll jump down and
Deadfall,
kill.
like.
Deadfall. It would kill rats or small mice or something like that. So we had a little rat problem was gone out of it.
Okay, and ultimately, in the event of there being a need for it, you could trap...
Trap small animals. Rabbits are plentiful in Ireland. Rabbits, pheasants, some of our guys, they shoot deer and bring the venison with us, so we had every kind of meat.
Okay, so you're actually like, we could be talking about, in the event of a breakdown of society, we could be talking about a fairly good diet, like game is much sought after.
No, that's the problem, you see. There's a problem there with it. We're not used to eating that kind of rich food anymore. For example, the venison has no fat on it, so we're not getting our protein and nutrients that we need, so we supplement them, but we're well able to catch them. That's what I'm saying.
So you supplemented them with what?
We supplement with our own dehydrated food. Dehydration is another part of what we do as well. So we'll grow our own vegetables, and then we have machines called dehydrators, obviously. Yeah. And we dehydrate these things, and when they're stored in for a couple of years without refrigeration, it's a fantastic thing. The Americans came up with it.
Accelerated freeze drying, I think.
You've seen
like those air and food bags.
You've seen it in the noodle packs of noodles. They're fried. They're not frozen. They're dried. As soon as the hot water hits it, then it's back to normal, and that's very tasty, very easy to do.
Okay, so listen, before you go, do you think there's any chance of you having to use all this in a real sense? Do you worry about this, Frank?
Oh, I sleep well at night.
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me, but
we hope we don't have to use it.
Are you slightly more concerned, Tony? You slightly more
a little bit concerned because, you know, as I say, people they always presume, oh, sure, nothing will go wrong, nothing will go wrong. You know. Again, as I say, if the power goes off, what are people going to do? Sheeple, as we call them.
Sheeple.
Yeah. Half between sheep and people.
I think the Irish people...
I think the government's going to help them out and airdrop food and airdrop water and, you know, and get electricity generators going for you when there's no power. It's up to you guys out there. Take care of your own.
Okay, you've now just scared the crap out of everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony McHugh and Frank Egan. Thank you. And all going well, if the broadcasting network and the electricity is still working, you can see more of Tony and Frank and the Irish Survivalist Group on Ear to the Ground on RT1 this Thursday. A reminder now of tonight's competition.